JavaScript objects are everywhere, but they can break your code in ways that are not obvious at first. In this video, we will look at 13 real object mistakes, see the broken code, understand why it fails, and then fix it step by step. In this section, we start with the most common object access mistake: using dot notation when the key actually comes from a variable. In real apps, this happens when the selected field comes from a form or a request parameter. Here, the variable key contains role, but user.key does not use that variable. Now we run the script and the output shows the problem. Let's break down the result. Dot notation treats key as the actual property name, so JavaScript searches for user.key. Since the object only has name and role, the result is undefined. Now we fix it by switching to bracket notation. Brackets evaluate the expression inside them, so user key becomes user role. Let's run it again, and now we get the value we expected. The best practice here is simple. When the property name is dynamic, use brackets. Dot notation is great for known property names, but variables belong inside square brackets. Try this small variation yourself. Change the key from role to name, keep the bracket access the same, and check that the code now prints ADA. Next, we look at a bug that appears when valid settings use values like 0 or false. This is common in configuration screens, where 0 retries or disabled notifications may be intentional choices. The code uses if statements as if they check whether the properties exist. Now we run it and the terminal shows fallback messages, even though both properties are present. Let's break down why the output is wrong. The value 0 is falsy and false is obviously falsy, but both properties still exist on the object. A truthy check is a value check, not a property existence check. Now we fix the bug by checking for the property itself. Object has own checks direct properties, and the in operator checks whether the property exists on the object or its prototype chain. We run it again, and now both valid values are detected correctly. The best practice is to choose the check that matches your intent. If you need to know whether a setting exists, use object has own or in, save truthy checks for cases where falsy values should really be rejected. Try adding a theme property with an empty string. Your goal is to prove the property exists without replacing it just because the string is empty. Now we move into object references, where one assignment can accidentally mutate data you meant to keep unchanged. Imagine we are editing a draft profile before saving it. The code assigns original user to draft user, then changes the draft name. Now we run it and the original name changes too, which is the bug. Let's break down what happened. Objects are reference values, so draft user did not become a separate copy. It became another name for the same object in memory. Now we fix it by creating a new object with spread syntax before changing the draft. This gives the draft its own top-level object. We run it again and the original name stays Ada while only the draft changes. The best practice is to copy data before making draft edits when the original must be preserved. For flat objects, spread syntax is usually enough. For nested data, we need a deeper copy, and that is the next mistake. Try adding an email only to the draft. Then print the original email and confirm that it is still undefined. This section continues the reference topic by showing why spread syntax is only a shallow copy. This happens when you copy an order before editing its shipping address. The top-level order is copied, but the nested address is still shared. Now we run the script and the original city changes unexpectedly. Let's break down the bug. Spread copied ID and address into a new object, but address itself is still an object reference, so both orders point to the same address object. Now we fix it with structured clone, which creates an independent copy of the nested data. After changing the clone, we run the script again, and the original order keeps Paris. The best practice is to think about the shape of your data before copying. Use a shallow copy for flat objects, and use structured clone or explicit nested copying when nested data must be independent. Try the manual version too. Copy the order and copy the address separately, then change the clone city and confirm the original stays unchanged. Finally, for this batch, we compare object references with object contents and fix a very common equality mistake. This shows up when you compare a new filter object against a saved filter. The properties look the same, so it feels like triple equals should return true. Now we run it and JavaScript prints false. Let's break down the result. Triple equals asks whether both variables point to the exact same object. these are two separate objects, so the reference comparison fails. Now we fix it by comparing the fields that actually matter for this filter. We check ID and active directly, then run the script again. This time the output is true because the relevant values match. The best practice is to compare the specific fields your feature cares about. That makes the intent clear and avoids pretending that triple equals can compare object contents. Try adding a search field to both filters, then update the comparison so the result only stays true when ID active and search all match. Now we are looking at nested object reads. This is where small missing pieces in API data can crash otherwise normal JavaScript code. In real apps, profile data may arrive without every nested field. Here the user has a profile, but there is no company object inside it. We write the direct nested read first, then run the script and see what happens. Let's break down the result. JavaScript evaluates this chain from left to right. The profile exists, but company is undefined, and reading name from undefined is the part that crashes. Now we fix the read with optional chaining. The question mark before dot says, if company is missing, stop here instead of crashing. Then nullish coalescing gives us a friendly fallback, so now we run it again. The best practice here is to use optional chaining only where the data is truly optional. Pair it with a clear fallback when the UI or log output still needs a real value. For a quick variation, add a company object with a real name and run the same safe read again. The important thing is that the code works both when the value exists and when it does not. Next, we move to object merging. This mistake is common because the code looks correct, but the order silently changes the final configuration. In real projects, options often start with a default config and then get user choices on top. Here we accidentally spread user options first and default second. Now we run the script and notice the user values disappear. Let's explain the output. Object spread does not merge by priority automatically. JavaScript simply writes properties from left to right, so later keys replace earlier keys with the same name. Now we fix the merge by placing defaults first. User options come last, so they override only the fields the user actually changed. Let's run this corrected version. The best practice is to make the priority visible in the order of the spread. Start with broad defaults, then place more specific overrides later. That keeps configuration code predictable. Try adding notifications set to false inside user options. With the correct order, that user choice should win over the default true value. Now we look at this binding. This one is tricky because the method works on the object, but fails when you pass it somewhere else. This shows up when a method is passed to a timer, logger, or event handler. The method works as user_getName, but now we store it in a separate variable. We run it and see that this context is gone. Let's explain the failure in JavaScript. This is decided by how the function is called. Once we call fn by itself, there is no user object on the left side, so this is not the user anymore. Now we fix it by binding the method to the user object. Bind creates a new function where this is locked to user. When we run it, the method can read the name again. The best practice is to be careful when a method uses this and leaves the object. Either bind it, wrap it in an arrow function, or call it directly through the object. As a quick practice, replace bind with an arrow wrapper. This keeps the call as user_getName inside the wrapper, so this is resolved correctly. Next is object state. This mistake is especially important in UI code where accidental mutation can create confusing bugs. In UI state, we often copy an object before changing it. Here, object assign copies the top level. Then we change a nested preference on the copy. Now we run it and notice the original state changed too. Let's unpack that surprising output. Object assign copied the outer object, but the nested preferences object was still shared. So changing next state per press also changed state per press. Now we fix the update by copying the nested preferences object too. The copy gets the new theme, while the original keeps its old nested object. Let's run the corrected version. The best practice is to copy every level that you're going to change. For one nested object, object spread is enough. For deeper state, be explicit or use a state helper that handles immutable updates clearly. For practice, add another nested preference like language and update only that value. The original state should still print the old language after the update. Finally, for this batch, we covered JSON cloning. It is popular because it is short, but it silently changes data that is not JSON safe. This often happens when a payload starts simple and later gets richer fields. We use the common JSON parse and strigify clone here. Now we run it and check the types and missing properties. Let's explain the comparison. JSON is a data format, not a full JavaScript object model. It cannot preserve functions, undefined properties, date objects as date objects, or special numbers like NaN. Now we show a better clone for supported rich values. We remove the function because structured clone does not clone functions. Then clone the date, NaN, and nested objects safely. Let's run it and verify the result. The best practice is to use JSON cloning only when the object is truly JSON safe. If the object contains richer JavaScript values, use structured clone where it fits, or write a clear mapping that preserves exactly what your app needs. For a quick experiment, add a map to the object and compare JSON cloning with structured clone. You should see that JSON turns it into a plain empty object, while structured clone preserves it as a. In this section, we look at a mistake that happens when class instances are treated like plain objects. The code looks harmless, but the prototype behavior disappears. In real apps, this happens when we turn a user model into something that looks easy to send through an API. Here we create a user instance, spread it into a new object, and then try to call the same method on the copy. Now we run it and check what the object really became. Let's break down why this fails. The spread copied only the instance's own enumerable fields, so ID and name survived. The getLabel method lives on user prototype, and that prototype chain was not copied into the new object. Now we fix the design instead of pretending the copy is still a user. The method stays on the instance, and when we need plain data, we create an explicit DTO. Now we run the script and the output matches that intent. The better habit is to separate behavior from transfer data. Use class instances when you need methods and invariants, and use DTOs when you need plain JSON-friendly values. Object spread is fine for data, but it is not a real instance clone. For practice, make a product class with a getPriceLabel method, then add a toTTO method that returns ID, name, price, and the formatted label as plain data. This section focuses on iteration. The dangerous part is that some loops do more than many developers expect. Imagine we are building a query string from a request object. The object has its own fields, but it also inherits a default debug flag from its prototype. We write a simple for-in loop, run it, and the result contains more than we wanted. Let's explain the bug. For-in does not stop at the object's own properties. It walks enumerable properties through the prototype chain, so debug gets included, even though request never directly stored it. Now we fix the iteration so it only uses fields directly present on the request. Object enumerers gives us own enumerable entries, which is usually the cleanest option. If we keep for-in, we add object has own as a guard, then run both versions. The best default is object kills or object enumerers when you want normal object iteration used for-in only when inherited enumerable properties are actually part of the design. In most request form and config code, inherited keys should be filtered out. Try changing the inherited debug value to another property, like role or admin. Then confirm that object enumerers still ignores it while for-in sees it, unless you add the guard. In the last section, we move from correctness bugs to security bugs. Some object keys are not just normal data keys. Now we look at a security-flavored object mistake. A user sends JSON with a normal theme field and a dangerous proto field. We merge every key into a normal object, run it, and then a totally separate object can read an unexpected admin value. Let's unpack what happened. The value is not an own property on session, but JavaScript still finds it through the prototype chain. That is exactly why untrusted keys like proto, constructor, and prototype need special handling. Now we fix the merge by treating user input as hostile data. We reject dangerous keys and store map-like data in a null prototype object. Now the safe value is kept and the polluted admin lookup does not appear. The safer pattern is to validate keys before merging anything from users, files, or external services. For dictionary-style objects, object create null removes the inherited object prototype entirely. This reduces surprise, but key validation is still required. For practice, extend the payload with a nested object and write a recursive safe merge. Make sure the same blocked keys are rejected at every level, not only at the top level. Now you know the object bugs that catch many junior JavaScript developers. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe to Dev Level Up, and write in the comments what JavaScript topic you want next.